Buddy, do you think it's weird that I think of myself as your mom? You know, or your stepmom, because technically you were here when I moved in. Do you like having a dog, stepmom, buddy? Because you're turned away from me and I'm feeling like there are things that you want to say but you can't say. I think you just farted. On May 10th, 1908, a rather cranky woman named Anna Jarvis celebrated the very first Mother's Day. And I say cranky because as Mother's Day became more and more popular in the United States, Anna Jarvis did not like the commercialization. For instance, it's one of the most popular days of the year for flower sales because we say I love you to our moms through flowers and also with food. Mother's Day is the most popular day of the year to go out to a restaurant. And ironically, Anna Jarvis, the inventor of Mother's Day, never herself became a mother. But enough about Anna Jarvis. Let's talk about some incredible, accomplished, famous mothers you should know about who not only deserve bouquets of flowers, but also like a million meals at, I don't know, like Red Lobster or something really good. Famous mom number one is named Mary Wollstonecraft, and in 1787, this mother wrote a book with a very long title called Thoughts on the Education of Daughters, with reflections on female conduct in the more important duties of life. Bam! It outlined her theories about how women should be educated to be more than just wives and daughters. And if that sounds a little radical to you, it makes sense because in 1792, she published her most famous book called Vindication of the Rights of Women, which is one of the earliest modern feminist texts. She died 5 years later before she was able to educate her daughters, but her daughter Mary wrote a literary classic you've probably heard of, Frankenstein. Marie Curie is a famous mother you've probably heard of, and this woman was radioactive in how successful she was. In 1903, she won her first Nobel Prize, this time in physics, and she shared it with her husband Pierre for their research isolating the radioactive isotopes polonium and radium. And then in 1911, she was like, hey, I think I want another Nobel, and so she got it that time in chemistry. Now it's worth noting that by 1911, Pierre had been killed in a tragic horse-drawn carriage accident, so she was a single mother of two. She devoted herself tirelessly to her work, sometimes to the detriment of childcare, but nonetheless, her daughter Eve wrote a best-selling biography of Marie, which came out in 1943. Her daughter Irene also followed in her scientific footsteps, earning a Nobel Prize herself in 1935 for work with her husband, also on radioactivity. Now, tragically, both Marie and her daughter Irene died from leukemia, and some think it's linked to their research on radioactive material. Florence Owens Thompson probably has the most recognizable face among our famous mothers because her photograph taken by Works Progress Administration photographer Dorothea Lange became the face of the Great Depression. It was also known as Migrant Mother because she and her family were living at poverty level out in California, surviving by picking peas. And her photograph at that time had such a huge emotional impact on the American public that the government sent out 22,000 pounds of food to the encampment where Thompson and her family lived. But it wasn't until 1975 that Thompson stepped forward to identify herself as the person in that famous photograph, finally giving us a sense of the person behind the face. Katharine Martha Houghton Hepburn, say that 10 times fast, buddy, was a famous mother of a future famous mother. A highly educated woman for her time, she earned both her chemistry and physics masters from Bryn Mawr College in 1900. She was also a staunch suffragette, and her platform was sex education and birth control. That's right, a woman was stumping for birth control in the early 20th century. Pretty unheard of. She would go on to have 6 children with her husband, one of whom was Katharine Hepburn, who would also follow in her mother's more radical steps, stumping for Planned Parenthood when she was an adult. Famous mother Coretta Scott King is one of the most iconic faces of the civil rights movement. The wife of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was assassinated in 1968, she became a single mother of 4 at the time, but continued to travel and promote the message that her husband had left behind. She also worked hard lobbying the government to establish a national holiday to commemorate Dr. King's legacy, and in 1983, President Reagan signed it into law. In the King family's hometown of Atlanta, Georgia, Coretta Scott King also established the King Center, which works to promote nonviolent social change. Quite an important mother, indeed. For all of us. Even for you, Bubby. So which famous mother do you think should be added to the list? Let us know in the comments below. And hey, if you want to learn about more famous moms, you can read 10 Famous Mothers written by yours truly over at howstuffworks.com. And if you'd like to watch some more videos, well, we've got a ton of Mother's Day fun stuff for you to watch. Head on over to Brain Stuff, where I'll teach you about maternity leave, and at Stuff Mom Never Told You, I will blow your mind with the phenomenon of baby fever. Watch out, gals. It's contagious. Isn't that right, Bubby?
You're a boy, so you can't get it. I think you can't make babies anyway.
I don't know. Okay.
Fabric. He's looking at the fabric.
Oh, buddy, you weirdo! I didn't raise you like that. Yes, I did. I like you being weird. Katharine Martin. Katharine, say it with me, buddy. Katharine. You ready? You start when I start. Katharine. Katharine Martha Houghton. I'm starting to feel crazy saying this.